In response to Dr. Paul Krugman's article in the New York Times on Friday, October 2nd, 2015, voodoo never dies. Now voodoo, let's make it real clear, goes back to Ronald Reagan's tax plan in 1980, and George Bush, the first George Bush, basically called it voodoo economics. And what we have here is his son, Trump and Rubio, just to name three, who have come out with a tax plan in terms of the 2016 election, in which they indicate, what has shown is that these would be huge tax breaks for the very, very rich. Trump, Bush, Rubio, all indicate that very clearly. And of course, Rubio likes to talk about his father, who was a bartender when he came to the United States, and he was able to provide for his family. But I would like to say, and of course, this is for reasons that the rich people need to have their interest deduction, and they don't need to get taxed as much as the average working person. But I would say, hey, it might have taken a millionaire to build the bar where your father worked, but they had to be at a price point that attracted middle-class people, because if they were only, because they needed middle-class people to spend their money there, or your father would not have a job. It took the middle-class people who were going to that bar consistently so that your father could make money. It wasn't the people that invested in that bar that made that bar work. It was the fact that that bar was at a price point that was competitive, and it made people go to it. But again, when Dr. Krugman says voodoo, and I would call it, it's deja voodoo all over again, is that we've seen this time and time and time again, where Republicans have consistently said for the last 35 years that tax cuts were going to increase growth so much that you would make it up in the taxes on the increases in growth. And of course, that has never happened in the history of the entire world. It has been debunked time and time again. But it lives on. It continues to live over and over again in the minds of our Republican friends. Now, in 1993, Bill Clinton enacted a tax plan, and I'm pretty sure that it required Vice President Gore to pass, to vote the one vote that needed it to pass. And we had more growth in terms of people getting jobs, 22 million jobs in Bill Clinton's eight years. And a lot of that had to do with the fact that taxes had been raised. Now, Reagan did decrease taxes, but then he raised them again on 11 separate occasions, 8 or 11 separate occasions, where he knew that he had to raise taxes. And we have even more proof of this in even recent years. Now, remember, Obama increased taxes when some of Bush's taxes were going to sunset. And Obama allowed them to sunset, and they were increasing taxes, some increases in taxes on the wealthy, and guess what? Even today we had 150,000 jobs. We've had consistent growth through the Obama administration. The stimulus wasn't enough. The Republicans have done every single thing possible to thwart anything that could have helped this economy grow in any way, shape, or form. And it was done because not only do they hate the American people, but they hate Obama even more. Or should I say it's vice versa? They hate the American people even more. I don't really know. And we have a couple other instances where George Bush decreased taxes early in his presidency, and he had out of the course of 8 years, he had approximately 1 million jobs created. I believe that Obama has like 6 million jobs created in this time frame. That's 6 million above the amount that had gone down after he first went into his presidency, because we had a number of months of hundreds of thousands of jobs lost. Also, Kansas also decreased their tax rate on the wealthy, and they are hurting economically. The schools had to close early this year in May and June, or May, several weeks early, because the school districts didn't have enough money to pay everyone. That was because of all the growth that was created by the tax cuts that Sam Brownback put together. And of course, when this kind of stuff is debated and talked about, our friends on the Republican side are notorious for putting in faulty math to compare this to that and say that they're unequal, just similar to the faultiness of Jason Chaffetz, was that his name? The Republican congressman who put up that stuff on the Planned Parenthood thing, indicating that mammograms had gone down and abortions had gone up like this, when it's really mammograms had gone down and abortions had stayed about the same, so to speak. Extremely faulty and misleading, implying that something happened at this time, but it didn't happen at that time. It happened years earlier, and so it disproves its own point. And of course, Americans, all Americans, Democrats, Republicans, and independents, and Democrats by a wide margins, but even Republicans want to tax the rich more. Okay, it's only the Republicans who are running for office who have such a blind allegiance to their rich benefactors, who want things done their way because they've always had it their way because they're rich, and they're bowing to them and doing exactly what they want. So what we have is Republicans who want to have increases on the wealthy, but our elected representatives who want the money from the rich benefactors, bowing in allegiance to them, saying, oh yes, we will give you your tax cut. The rest of my constituents be damned. And guess what? It doesn't make any difference who the nominee is going to be on the Republican side. They will advocate for tax deductions for the rich. They will come out with something similar to Trump, similar to Bush, similar to Rubio, and they will hire a whole boatload of prognosticators who will sit there, hired guns, manipulators, and sit there and talk about the incredible growth that we're going to have with this tax plan, when it is bogus, it has never happened, and it never will happen. But hey, it sounds like it's voodoo, it's deja voodoo all over again.